My name is Bob Smith.
I'm Jules Wagstaff. I'm a trustee of Climate and Community.
So am I. This is us in the Land Rover coming onto the field down the 150 metre track, back just in time for the start of COVID. The charity had taken out a lease, had been offered a lease on this field, so we took it up and...
in 2020?
Yeah, just in time for COVID, which as a volunteer organisation was a disaster. We got through courtesy of mostly Postcode Lottery, who are superb frontline,
who allowed us to repurpose the remainder of the grant.
Now this is the accommodation which has been causing all the trouble apparently. These Mongolian yurts, Jules and I actually made these in a workshop in Kilgarran. It's pretty basic but functional. This is the instructor and tutor accommodation, and it's got the basics, but
it's off-grid.
Yeah.
But it's very frontline and it's hard work.
Yeah. Firewood, water. To start with, we're living in a small shelter you'll see in a bit.
But we're on the site because we need to do the work and be on site duty.
Yeah, and the cost of housing would be prohibitive. So, see, we're fitting out another yurt there. This is the kitchen that we've been developing. We cook for 30.
On the annual gathering for Swansea Community Growing Network, and this is now our site kitchen.
And this is the entrance to the main spaces. It's got a load of stuff stashed in here, and there's the flues for the cooking machine.
It's a work area, it's an educational area.
Yeah, and we shift everything about. We can show films in here, and we've had social events in here. We've had a band playing in here. At the moment it's set up for sewing, for some coir fibre, for the kitchen. So this is looking back up towards the track. There's the
Land Rover shelter.
Growing beds in the background. Land Rover shelter we use for a while.
That's a propagation bed, which and the sheep mulched area waiting to have wood chip on for the alley cropping. No dig beds.
There's the electric supply. More of the propagation beds.
Yes, they're edible perennials which are being bulked up for the perennial lanes that are going to be part of the carbon negative food growing beds.
This is the Wendy Hut, the office, the site office. It was full of tools until we got a container. We're now sorting it out as an office proper. Tara in the background there. It's a Dharma project, so we'll talk a bit about that, and there's something on that later. Down the track, then up the track, past the hot bin to the container, which we've got down the track. We did it the winter before last, or was it last winter?
Essential to have secure container on the site for tools.
Yeah.
Hand tools mainly.
Right, now this is the track. It's impassable.
In winter.
Yeah. Or when it's wet, except with four-wheel drive. But no matter.
We took the container down using a hoist and trees for anchor, and volunteers over several months.
150 metres, and then build a platform.
We winched it down the track into its position, and we levelled the platform, which was a lot of hard work. But it demonstrates the low or no fossil fuel and appropriate technology approach that the charity takes.
And during this time we were engaged in the process of reasoning with the planning about what we were doing, which has taken a year.
And giving them the arguments.
So one of the things we do hedgerow training. This was a fixed date. And
this was a training day which was paid for by Swansea Community Growing Network, and then there's Nick and
Hedgerow when we started, because this is the fourth year of it. and he's now instructor, ex-police officer. Super.
4 years ago he was a learner. We've had many students, volunteers, and it's also been very good for the local
We may
community.
want to look at the techniques.
This is sizing course.
in cutting this.
This is also key to the agriculture method.
Yeah, so
the
the-
growing beds are
just
kind of fed on mowing.
If you've got the older type clasp,
Another appropriate technology which is incredibly efficient when you learn how
Yeah.
to maintain the blade and fit the tool to the person's
so can you
height
draw it?
and
You're
posture.
loosening it, are you?
And you
Yeah.
don't need a big mowing machine.
And there were lots of people on this training day very keen to learn, and many have bought scythes themselves and used this method in various locations.
We've got a growing collection of scythes in the container, and we continue to do scything training, and we'll do.
And yeah, if we cut the grass, then the grass can be used for feeding growing beds as a top mulch. So this is an important part of the growing plan.
Wood chip beds that work with Fungal Association.
This is an open day paid for by Neighbourly just after COVID, and we were teaching crafts and just sitting down and relaxing and inviting people to come and see what we do.
And these are some photos of the volunteers and beneficiaries.
We have many more photos, but this is just a small selection.
Yeah. So this is what we've been doing. I think it's been suggested as conflicts of interest, but we don't see it. And as we mentioned in our earlier thing, it's a Dharma project. It's inspired by Dharma. That's what the Buddhas were going on about, and there's more of that later.
This is a vocation. This is what we do, and this is what we teach.
And we're not alone.
And there are other there's a whole group of volunteers.
Yeah. We got wet that day. So this is the hedge, and as we walk down the hedge, which is 4 years ago, this was done in the first 2 years. On the right, it's Landover, and on the other side is a area of
Mansell Green, which is sort of a scrub woodland and quite dense bramble in some areas, and bracken, and we were actually running for about 2 years volunteer days over that side, planting trees, planting a community willow bed, and we had structures up there when we ran our volunteer days and events.
we were accommodated in a Land Rover shelter on
The community council's land just opposite side of the road. The stakes and the evergreens, which is the top weave, were also, the majority were collected from the green on the opposite side of the road in the woodland, and they were collected by volunteers to use local materials. And then later on, when we ran out, we went and ordered material from a local coppice, and you saw those pictures just gone, because the importance is using local materials and not bringing them in from far distance. You can see the laid hedge and how it regenerates over time and gets bushier after you've laid it. And we will be going back this winter to brush it, because that is part of the hedge maintenance. You have to go back and brush it with hand tools, and that's another part that we'll be teaching volunteers.
It's very shady, as you can see.
The trees do, the trees are shading some areas, and it does get a bit thin, but it was a very good thing for the locals, because it's so central to the village, and people were noticing the hedge laying and were being educated by it and learning to value the traditional skills that were going on, and were interested in carrying it on. So we're now looking at maybe a coppicing project in close association with the community council.
So there's charity objects, conservation, education and training. It was all done by volunteers who learnt on the job, and public benefits. So where are we at the moment? We've just got a off-grid site cabin delivered, which is bunging up the entrance at the moment. We're going to pull it down, put it in the quarry area, which will mean that we can, it's got a generator set big enough to run our welding machine, so we can start moving capability down from the workshop. We're looking at skills camps.
We're already doing skills workshops on other green space sites in Swansea and making friends. And Kilby Woodland volunteers are interested in actually doing a skills camp. So we're talking with them about the practicalities of a sort of outreach skills camp to take our work further.
No shortage of things to do. As we've been mentioning, it's a Dharma project, and based around Green Tower. And Martin Wilson, a friend of ours from Quakers as well, they're not Quakers, but he came back from Tibet, hangs out at the Quakers, is dedicating the Green Tower for us. And we'll speak.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right, so I've been invited here to unveil this painting of Tara. I haven't seen it yet myself, but 40 years ago I spent several years doing an extensive study of Tara, which resulted in this book in praise of Tara, where I translated many texts about her, phrases that were written to her in India and in Tibet. But I think the first thing to do is actually to reveal the painting, and we can then I'll talk a bit about Tara. Do you take it right off? Take it right off, okay. Okay. Right. So
Would you like to light the incense?
that's a good idea.
There you go.
Right. Okay. When I'd got the book all assembled, I realised it needed an introduction explaining who is Tara, and I sat down to do that. Spent quite a while.
Would you like to gather round so you can hear Martin if anybody's interested?
If you come out,
If you come out onto the steps.
Yeah, okay.
porch, your words would carry that.
Right. Okay. So, for writing an introduction to my book on Tara, I had to explain who Tara is, and I spent quite a while analysing this with my head all full of the texts I'd been translating. And I realised she has three main threads to her identity. First of all, she's a bodhisattva. Second, she's a mother goddess. And thirdly, she's a tantric deity. And I'll say a little bit about each of these. In my actual book, I go on for 15 pages about it, so I won't do that here. I'll just pick out the aspects which I think are most relevant to us. So Bodhisattva is someone originally an ordinary being like us, who has taken the vow to work for the benefit of beings until samsara, the round of rebirth, is empty. This means they're prepared to spend many, many lifetimes devoting themselves entirely to the benefit of beings. Tara did this inconceivably long time ago, and at the same time she took her own special vow. She was advised, as many practitioners still are, that to achieve this she would have to take rebirth in the form of a male. There are people who say, Buddhas have to be men. But she defied the tradition and said, no, I vow to do all this work in the form of a woman. And I think that's very endearing. I feel it makes her seem very close and relevant to us. Her name, Tara, means saviouress, she who saves. And this is indicated by the gesture of her right hand, which is giving refuge. Now she saves beings from samsara like any other bodhisattva, but her special duty, which led to her becoming really, really popular in India in about the 7th century, is that she saves from the 8 great fears. These are dangers that people encounter in travelling through medieval India, like dangerous beasts such as elephants and lions and snakes, and there's robbers, there's fire and water, and also man-eating demons, which are also a bit of a pest sometimes. So her cult really caught on in the 7th century. There's many, many statues of her in India. These external fears, they also have a symbolic inner meaning of corresponding to obstacles to your practice, such as pride and delusion and anger and so forth. Secondly, she's a mother goddess. She's the Buddhist form of the great Indian mother goddess, also of the universal mother goddess who's found worldwide. So one aspect of this is that she's goddess of the earth. She's closely connected to the world of plants and animals and human beings. She often dwells in wild places, forests and so forth. One particular place she's associated with is called Khaduravana, the forest of Khadura trees. They're sweet-smelling trees, and there are also flowers and other plants and animals and birds all living in peace there. She has an affinity with all these plants and animals, and you can see also that she has a rapport with animals, because in saving people from these dangerous creatures like the lions and whatnot, she does that completely non-violently without harming the creatures. She has instant rapport with any living thing. In addition, she's as Mother Goddess, she's Goddess of the Heavens. Often she's depicted with a crescent moon in her hair to indicate that she is a moon goddess. And her name Tara has a second meaning. It also means star. Finally, the tantric deity, this is how she's really best known in Tibet, where they have pictures of her drawn to very strict rules of proportion and everything. As a tantric deity, she is the goddess of action, queen of the action family. This is one of the 5 families of Buddhas that are used in meditation. And the colour of this family is green. That's one reason why her body is green. And another sign of this action goddess status is that she keeps her right leg lowered. She's not in a sort of rigid cross-legged position like most deities, but her right, she's already sort of half getting up, so she's ready to spring into action at a moment's notice when she needs to offer assistance to any being. She acts with lightning swiftness to save those in distress. You just have to recite her 10-syllable mantra, or even just think of her, and she's already there. I shouldn't say too much about Tantric Buddhist practice, because you need the presence of a qualified Lama to give you all the empowerments and all the guidance you need. There's considerable dangers in trying to do it on your own. Tantric practice involves sort of identifying with a deity, and of course Tara does have this feature that she is a feminine role model, because there's plenty of female meditational deities, but most of them, they're just sort of symbolically female. In Buddhist Tantra, female is